Hi guys, it's Timika Chambers with Create a Generational Love Cycle. And we are going into the third week of July, which as you know is Healthy Vision Month. And so last week I introduced the topic of healthy vision, blogging about that, and actually in my last week podcast, but talking about how can we maximize the use of our eyes. And if you will take a moment and just visualize the car that maybe you're riding in, or your cousin's car, your mom's car, your dad's car, that somewhere along the line, you know about cars, you know about fueling a car, that a car takes a certain amount of fuel to run the way it needs to. And I want you to think about your body. Your body, as I consider, is the vehicle for your message, your divine message. It is the vehicle for your truth. And so your vehicle requires certain nourishments to keep it working efficiently, effectively. And so when we think about that, there are general guidelines, of course, on how to take care of our body, like the My Plate method by the United States Department of Agriculture. And then also you may remember that growing up, we talked a lot about the pyramid method when it came to eating. So all of the good foods were down at the bottom, the fruits, the vegetables. And as you got taller in the pyramid, as you came up, those are the foods that you ate less of. So butter, sweets, things of that nature that were like the high fatty foods, if you will, cheeses, etc. And so what I like to, when I talk about your body being the vehicle for your message, I want you to kind of see your eyes, if you will, as the headlights of your car. That if they are working properly, you can see where you are going. And so just like everything in your body, we require certain nutrients. We require vitamins, minerals, calcium, phosphorus, potassium for our nervous system, our heart, our muscles, calcium to work properly. And when we do not take in that amount, we tend to stress our body out. That there's an inner stress that soon becomes a physiological stress. Those symptoms as you get high blood pressure, and there are more things that are involved in that. Anytime we stress our vehicle, emotional stress, mental stress, social stress, even when you think about the coronavirus and actually being kind of shut down a little bit, when we think about those, anytime we're adding more stress or not coping well with our environment, that in itself too can cause our vehicle, can cause our eyes to lose their effectiveness. And so I have a few things I'd like to talk about, and much of this information I've included sites. So when you go to the description of this podcast, you will see different sites that I've included for you. The BMI chart, healthy foods, omega-3, everything that I pretty much talk about will be in that, at least most of the things I talk about will be in that description. So I'm just going to kind of go through some of the stuff that we need for our body, for our eyes to work the way that they need to. And number one is always, first and foremost, is a balanced diet. And so as you may have heard, I saw a recent article from the CDC that 1 in 10 Americans actually do not get enough of fruits and vegetables. So we are actually not eating enough for our body. And then we wonder why our vehicle is not working the way it needs to, because we're constantly running. And many times it's just that old fuel, that not enough fuel that we're using, the exhaust fuel that we're using to keep going the way we need to. And so balanced diet consists of your fruits, your vegetables. For women, we should at least be taking about 1.5 cups of fruits a day. And vegetables should be approximately about 2.5 cups a day of vegetables. And then for men, they should be taking at least about 2.5 cups of fruits a day. And then also for vegetables, about 3 cups. And that's about the same for teenagers, 14 to 18 approximately. I think for the boys, it's a little bit off. And instead of doing 3 cups of fruit, I believe instead of doing 3.5, they are 3 cups, and men are 3 cups, 3.5. So I hope I didn't just confuse you about that. But again, men are 3.5 cups of vegetables, and individuals, boys that are between the ages of 14 to 18, are 3 cups of vegetables. And so it's important that you understand that. And I've included the link too as well regarding that. And so balanced diet, protein, you've also heard about that being at the palm of your hand, basically a deck of cards. And so when we look at my plate, we're looking at our plate should be mostly vegetables, green foods particularly. And for every meal, I try my best to make sure my family are getting green foods. I've even had broccoli at breakfast, squash at breakfast. I'll give the kids, my son loves ranch dressing on his broccoli, so I'll make sure I put just a little ranch dressing on that for him to eat that. I've fixed broccoli, cheese, and rice for lunch combo, just to try to get their veggies in there. I usually will give them cucumbers. And so sometimes it's easier than others, but the more consistent you are with giving your children a green vegetable at every meal, because those green vegetables have the fiber, they have those missing nutrients that we're not getting every day. They have the calcium, they have the potassium. And so all those things, and remember, potassium, if you will, is that electrolyte that's needed for our heart. We need to make sure we're having much of that. Magnesium, we need those electrolytes for our nervous system to work the way it needs to. That electrical system we have throughout our body, just like through our car, and through the car is the blinkers are coming on when they need to. We're turning, we're walking when we need to. And so making sure we have those nutrients. And then dairy products, making sure we get our calcium if we are eating dairy foods and non-dairy foods. We've switched for several years now that I serve almond milk and soy milk mainly, and I use coconut milk for my ice cream. And so balanced diet, again, your protein, your fruits, getting your omega-3 in, you guys, which is good for your heart, your fish, your salmon, your mackerel, just really getting that nutrient in. And what I will typically do is add olive oil to our salad. And instead of fixing butter, I'll do olive oil with my pizza. I will have olive oil and do garlic powder inside of that and dip that, or even spread that over my pizza when I get pizza. So any food that you eat, you can literally, I saw a study at one point, you can literally add healthier food items to that to help kind of balance the food a little bit. Like I saw a study that said something about having avocado with your hamburger and actually making it a better hamburger or a healthier hamburger. So because you grew up with certain foods doesn't mean you have to stop eating it. And that's been my talk since I was a beginning nurse, umpteen years ago, as a health coach and as an educator, diabetes educator. I've encouraged people that, look at the foods you enjoy and what can you substitute to give you a more balanced meal, and not just balance in the colors, but balance in nutrition, promoting more calcium, drinking coconut water. We can go to our Fred Meyer's, and the coconut water stays off the shelf. I mean, literally, you hear crickets when you go there, that people are evidently into coconut water. And you can get actually potassium and magnesium. And I just love making like a strawberry slushy with coconut water. And I've made popsicles with it. So there are so many things you can do to really promote balanced diet, balanced nutrition. And I don't like to use the word diet. I like to say meal plan, because diet has such a bad rep. A lot of people, when they think of diet, they think about restriction. And I am not about restriction. As a matter of fact, I am about guilt-free. How can you enjoy the food you love without the extra guilt, without really feeling like, you're missing out on stuff? And so healthy weight, there is the body mass index. According to your age, your height, according to your physical activity does play a part too when we're talking about meal plan, but we're talking about your height and your age and how much you weigh which is going to give us, that body mass index. Are you below 18.5, which means that you're underweight? Are you somewhere in between 24 and 29, 25 actually, and 29? Are you considered overweight? Are you under 25, between 18.5 and 24.9, and considered within normal weight? And I really wasn't a big stickler on that, but I do try to take that information to say, okay, where are we on the scale? How are we doing? And you have to keep in mind that, our body across cultures, our body build is a little bit different. And so you really want to know, how do you feel? You want to get your emotions into that. You want to get your feelings into that and say, how do you feel about your body? Are you feeling fatigue? Are you feeling just stiff? Those are some other things that you want to consider. But I will tell you that healthcare professionals, we do look at the BMI. And so if you have not done a BMI, you might want to take a look at that chart that's in the description and really do a BMI and see where you're at along that scale. And just get an idea. It's not about being obsessive, but get an idea of where you are. And a lot of times we can tell when we're weighing a lot more. We can tell when we have more baggage in our trunk, right? In our car, and I put baggage in the back seats, or in our back seat, in the front seat. You can tell if you're weighing, if you have too much baggage that you're collecting. And so physical activity, one thing you'll hear is that people will say exercise. I'm all about physical activity. The more active you are, the more likely you're going to be within that recommended weight, right? The more likely you're going to eat for fuel and not just use food as an emotional pickup, right? Or energy pickup. How much rest are you getting? Are you getting 8 to 9 hours? Are you getting quality sleep? That's what it boils down to. Do you feel exhausted when you first wake up? Are you stiff? Are you tired? Do you need a nap? Get an idea of how you're feeling and really say, okay, am I getting enough rest? Am I getting enough quality rest? Am I able to maximize my body, my eyes? Protective eyewear. I did not know this, but sun can actually increase your risk for developing cataracts and macular degeneration. Cataracts, if you do not know about it, is where you have a cloudy lens. So like if your headlights are kind of going out or dim, then you're going to be less likely to see where you're going, right? And so macular degeneration, as I did have an article last week that kind of summed up how our eyes work. And macular degeneration, it affects the back of your eye. That's where the retina, where you have the nerves, the blood vessels, and where basically your what you see, your image, is actually transformed into an electrical image that travels along through your optic nerve to your brain. And so macular degeneration, basically, there is some focus issue, if you will. Not able to focus, the vision is not as clear as it needs to be. And so sun increases your risk for developing those eye conditions. And the biggest thing you can do is wear sunglasses to help protect your eyes. And I know, like for my son and for myself, we have tinted tint to our glasses. I always get, ever since that I found out I could do that, I've been doing that, and I've been doing that for my son too as well. Avoid smoking. Smoking has enough of life-draining consequences to it. And so when we think about smoke, we think about the effect on your heart vessels. And remember, you have big highways, heart vessels throughout your body, and you have little highways. And those little highways are actually in your eyes. And so we do not want those vessels to clog up, just like the small lines that are in your that are next to your battery in your car. You don't want those to clog up with fumes or any gulk and stuff, because they really decrease the effectiveness of your vision. And then also too, knowing your family history. I know for me, I went to see the other side of my family, my father's side of the family, about in 2001. And that's when I realized, oh wow, there's like heart disease, high blood pressure, there are strokes. The more you know about your family, the more you can be a better student of your health, that you can do the things that you need to do to stay healthy. And it's not about being afraid, because for me, it's about prevention. That because someone else went through it, and if you can have this mindset, I tell you, it will help you every time. Even me, what I say to you, I say to myself. If you take any knowledge, anything that you hear or learn, and take it as just because it happened to them does not mean it has to happen to me. The reason why I am learning about my health, learning about my family history, if you can, is that you have the tools, you have the knowledge to take better care of yourself. And so know your risk factors, know what's going on inside your family. Know that other health conditions put you at risk for having eye problems. High blood pressure does, kidney disease, those little small vessels, tubes in your kidneys. So if they're likely to be clogged up, there's a high chance that other vessels, small vessels, are to be clogged up too as well. And so if I can switch just a little bit, because I always want to make sure I add a spiritual component to everything that I talk about, including what I write about and blog on my site, is that the eyes, you may have heard, the eyes are like the window to someone's soul. And as I mentioned before, is that with our eyes, we can choose to see or not see. And one of the things that I have tried, and it's more than just try, one of the things that I try to stay conscious of, and I prayed for it when I was a little girl, is that to see the truth. To see the truth with my eyes, because there's so much out there in the world. There's so many traditions and thoughts, things that we heard growing up that can really cloud our vision. And even though our parents, grandparents, and those before them mean well, and they based what they said, what they told us, on what they knew. But I would like to hope that as we grow, as we continue to evolve to generations and generations, we start being more conscious of those things, those myths, those illusions that we carry around with us, and use our eyes to actually see the truth. And so I do believe that if we do ask, we shall receive. And so, as you know, you use it all the time. Asking, you shall receive. And you've heard many great leaders say that, seeking, ye shall find, knocking, the door shall be answered. And so we use that for things like in growing our business. But what about within ourselves, and asking ourselves, let me see the truth. I know what I've heard throughout my life, and I want to see the truth. And the other thing that I have asked since I was a little girl, and really have come back to, is to see the innocence in people. In Genesis, we learn that God created the world in his image. And we learn throughout the Bible that he resides in us, his spirit resides in us. And so if I am created in God's image, and if you are created in God's image, then I want to see the God in you. Again, a lot of times we go through life and we carry all this baggage, all these myths, all these traditional sayings and thoughts, in with us. And everyone we meet, it's almost like we pull out something out of that baggage, and it colors, it distorts our thoughts. We can have macular degeneration, to me, in our mind. We can have cloudy vision without having cataracts, because we're so consumed by this baggage that we're carrying, that we're unable to see people for who they are. And so if we truly believe that God made people in his image, then is there not God in the individual that we cross, in the homeless person, in the black person, in the white person, in the beige person, in the pink person, however, in the different religions that we hear, Catholics, Christians, Baptists, that whatever we seek, you guys, if we seek for someone to be evil, if we seek someone to be a bigot, if we seek violence, if we seek prejudice, if we seek racism, then it's no wonder that that continues to be here in the world. But if we seek the God within people, if we seek goodness, if we seek compassion, if we seek joy, if we seek peace and trust and truth, then that is what we're more likely going to get. And you may hear in my voice a little emotion. I wasn't expecting that, but this is like raw taping. That if we seek those things, are we not to experience those? And it doesn't happen overnight, but it's collectively, as co-creators of the world, if we seek the good in people, will we not start to seek that? And I remember, and I'll end it with a story, just tidbits of a story that I was told about. Someone shared in a group meeting about how someone from another country had hung out with a Black person, African American, and basically, as he was hanging out with them, he was like, "Man, I didn't, my parents lied to me. They told me this, and this about your race, your culture, about you, and I have not seen any of that." And I think the person was really kind of hurt and upset and taken back because he had grown up with all these myths, all this baggage, all this trunk load. And here, presented the very person that he heard about, and he literally had to drop that baggage, and I don't know what all transpired after that, but can you imagine to really grow up hearing negative things about a race or a culture, and then realizing that, meeting someone of that race and culture and realizing that wasn't all true. And it's not about blaming people. Remember, when we create a generational love cycle, it's never about blaming. It's about understanding. It's about increasing consciousness. And as we increase consciousness, we see the world in a whole new light. And so again, what does all this have to do with our eyes? The more we take care of our eyes, the more we ask to see the truth, the more these are good habits that we're passing on for generation. They're going to see us eating healthy. They're going to see us sleeping well. They're going to see us at a healthy weight. They're going to see us doing physical activity. They're going to join in. This is what we're raising our children to do. We're going to encourage them to wear protective eyewear. We're going to encourage them to know the family history. We're going to start this coaching, this support at home, and not just out on the street somewhere, but it starts at home, because these are our students. These are our teachers. Our children are our students. They are our first students. They are our teachers. And if you don't have children, what about nieces and nephews and the kid that's in a school program that needs somebody to see them for who they are? And so we create a generational love cycle by helping our children to see the truth, by dismantling myths, by taking out the baggage and allowing our eyes to see the innocence in people, allowing our eyes to see the truth. Should we not be cautious? I think we should listen to the voice within. And some people are not ready to see the truth. And so we use, like Jesus did when he was around other people, and some people did not want to believe in him, and some people did not want to see the truth, that you go your way. You listen to the voice within, and if it's time for you to move away, if it's time for you to stop talking, if it's time for you to park your car somewhere else, then that's what you do. But we do not become the pain. We break the cycle of pain by seeing the truth, by taking care of our eyes, by aligning ourselves with the truth. And so this is Timika Chambers with Create a Generational Love Cycle. Thank you so much. I look forward to writing more about how we can take care of the eyes this week. And I pray that you will just continue to take care of your vehicle. If you have not, it's not too late. to achieve and sustain optimal health in the vehicle that you have, the vehicle for your divine message, because your life has purpose. You are here for reasons. And I urge you to create that generational love cycle, to take part in that. Thank you so much for listening. Take care of yourself. Be blessed.